Hello, I'm David Kang, Vice Chancellor for Infrastructure and Sustainability at CU Boulder. I'm here with Carissa Jaquish, Public Safety Program Manager with the CU Police Department and a member of our Access Control Subgroup. Hi, Carissa. It's great having you here, and thanks for the great work that you're doing to get the campus ready for in-person teaching and learning for the fall semester. Can you give us a quick overview of what access control means and what the Access Control Subgroup has been working on?
Hi, Dave. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Our Access Control Subgroup, comprised of staff from Infrastructure and Sustainability, the Provost Office, CUPD, and Student Affairs, have been working to ensure population density limits in building are not exceeded. We are also working to protect the safety and security of people and property while fewer staff and faculty are within buildings. These efforts have led us to put in place an access control plan that permits only CU affiliates and those granted access entry into most buildings with their Buff 1 card.
Requiring people to access buildings with their Buff 1 card is a big change. Why do you think this is important, especially as we get ready for the beginning of fall classes next week?
Yeah, well, we want to make sure our campus affiliates feel as safe as possible in the spaces they work and learn, whether that be to stay safe and healthy from COVID or from criminal activity. You know, most affiliates are familiar with using their Buff 1 cards to access building after hours if needed. This protocol is just an extension of these already established practices. We really did a lot of planning across campus and with our Pac-12 partners to ensure this access control protocol was in line with the best health practices and safety measures. The infrastructure mitigation website, which I believe we'll come back to at the end of this interview, gives the best information on building exceptions and where all building information can be located.
So can you tell us how this will work?
Yeah. So we have two types of card readers across campus, as you can see in these photos. Some devices have a swipe feature and others have Wi-Fi capability that you can read the cards by holding it in close proximity. We have worked closely with Student Affairs and Facilities Operations to collaborate on access system requirements and ensure all CU affiliates can access the spaces they need to facilitate the best learning experiences for everyone.
So if people will be using their Buff 1 cards to access most of our buildings, what will happen if I don't have my Buff 1 card for whatever reason?
Yeah, so first, we understand there may be many people who have never had to use their Buff 1 card before or lost theirs. So if you don't have a Buff 1 card or it's broken, you will need to contact the Buff 1 card office to get a new or replacement card. And the best way to do that by this slide is either to call them or go to their website listed. If you have any trouble accessing a building, for example, you actually brought your Buff 1 card or you forgot it that day and your card is not working, you can call Access Services at 303-492-6609 during regular business hours of 7:30 to 4:30. After hours, you can contact the Operations Control Center at 303-492-5522 or their email listed. And the Operations Control Center is operational 24 hours a day.
So can you tell us what happens after someone calls Access Services or the Operations Control Center?
Yeah, so a couple circumstances will factor into play. If you're calling Access Services or the Operations Control Center because your Buff 1 card is not working when you're trying to get into a building, then you will need to provide your name, your Buff 1 card number, and what building you're trying to access. Access Services or the Operations Control Center, whoever you call, will then troubleshoot why your card is not working. If you're calling Access Services or the Operations Control Center because you forgot your card completely, then you'll just need to provide your name and what building you're trying to access. In both circumstances, Access Services or the Operations Control Center will buzz you into the door you're located at to let you into that building.
Thanks for that. What about elevators that require card access?
Yeah, so elevators which require card access usually correlate to a more secured areas such as offices or labs. And most elevators permit general access to teaching and working and learning spaces. So if you find your card isn't working at a location where you should have access, please contact the Access Services. Again, the number listed during regular business hours or after hours to the Operations Control Center.
I bet a lot of people are wondering if I'm taking or teaching a class in a non-traditional location like Baker Hall or in an athletics facility, will I have access to my class?
Yeah, very good question. So our access control subgroup has put in measures to ensure all faculty, staff, and students have access to the locations where they either need to work or teach or learn to ensure that the academic mission of the university is maintained. This means that if you're taking or teaching a class, as you said, in Baker, for example, you'll be able to get in this building and access your class. It's important to note that the same processes to gain access to labs or research locations is being enforced, and no general access was given to any of those locations, as we wanted to keep the integrity of research intact.
Thanks for joining me today, and thank you for all the work that you and the access control subgroup are doing to get the campus ready for fall.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
If you want to learn more about the measures we're taking to prepare our infrastructure to minimize the spread of COVID-19, please visit our infrastructure and mitigation page on the Infrastructure and Sustainability website. Thank you and stay safe.